Hey class, how are we doing today?
Good.
Good.
Can y'all see that?
Uh-huh.
All right. First thing first is, you know how we've been going over fractions here lately. We've been talking about fractions. Well, does anybody know how, we know how fractions work. You have, oh Lord. You have your numerator, and then you have your fraction bar, and then you have your denominator. Well, today we're going to be doing our fractions, and then we're going to do it for equivalent fractions. Does anybody know what does equivalent mean?
Equal.
Equal. That's right. Equivalent means the same as. Okay, we're going to show you how to do that. So first, let's do a fraction real quick. So if you were to see a bar and it was shaded like this, what fraction would that be?
1/4.
1/4. All right. So that would be your fraction for that figure. Well, now I'm going to discuss what equivalent fractions look like. So say we have a candy bar, and you have a piece here, and you're going to share this piece with your friend. What is that fraction?
1/2.
2/4.
2/4. Okay. And Zamora, we're about to get to that 1/2. And then you have this huge candy bar right here. You broke it in half. But you decide you're going to save this piece for later, and you and your friend are going to share this piece. What's the fraction of this? This figure. 1/2. All right. Do they look the same? They don't? Why not?
One's bigger.
One's bigger? Are you sure? What if I remove this line? Or hold on. Yeah, let me keep this line and remove these. Does it look the same now? It does? Okay, all you're doing is this 2/4 is actually equivalent to 1/2. Because you're coloring in, on this one, you're coloring in 2 pieces of 4. And that's the same as 1/2, because here it is 2, and you're just coloring in half of it. You have 2 parts, and then you're coloring in the half of it. And that's the same as this, except you have 4 parts, and you're coloring in 2. But we're going to get to see more of this and how it works with your figures. Let's see. We're going to do some prior knowledge. Has anyone ever cooked with a family member? Can you raise your hands and show me? Okay, so pretty much all of you have cooked with a family member. I want one person to share your experience. What was your experience like cooking? Anybody?
We make like cakes, and we follow like a recipe.
You followed a recipe?
And we use measuring cups and spoons
Okay,
to measure out the right amount of stuff and mixed it together.
All right, you did. What did the measuring cups look like? Did they have like, what did they have on them? What did the recipe have on them? Was there like?
They had numbers, sometimes fractions to tell us how much, like a cup, and say like half a cup or something.
Okay. All right, so today I'm going to show you what some measuring cups we're going to be using. We have a 1/4 of a cup. We have a 1/3 of a cup and a 1/2 a cup. And then we have one big measuring cup, which is a whole cup. And we're going to be using them we're going to be doing a recipe today. We're going to be making Rice Krispie treats. And we're going to be using fractions and seeing how equivalent fractions and how we use everyday cooking, how we use fractions in everyday cooking. Does anyone know? Oh, I just went over what these are. And do y'all know how we use them? How do we use measuring cups or measuring spoons?
We have to pour our ingredients in there and pour them all in a bowl, and then when we put them all together, that makes our whole recipe.
Okay, but when you say on your measuring cups in front of you, wouldn't you say they have a fraction on them?
Mm-hmm.
And in our recipe, we would have, on your worksheet that I have given out, you have a graph, and it's going to give you a recipe for our Rice Krispies today. When you say it tells you what fraction you need to use for your recipe, and for each item on your recipe. All right, and we're mainly going to be using a 1/2 and a 1/2 and a 1/4 fractions today. Does anybody know why measuring fractions is good when cooking? Why do we need them to be exact?
Because you don't want to have too much sugar on your cake because it'll be way too sweet.
Yeah, what if we didn't have enough flour? I don't think the cake would rise like it needs to. So we need our measurements because we don't want it too sweet. You want to make your recipes perfect because you want to eat it and go, oh my gosh, that was so good. You don't want somebody to go, oh God, that thing is so sweet, I couldn't even eat it. Or, oh gosh, there wasn't enough butter in that. You don't want your recipes, you want them to taste good. So we have to follow exact measurements and we have to make our recipes good. So we're going to be making Rice Krispies today. So already have your butter in a separate cup already melted. And your marshmallows are already melted and they're kind of like a gunky, sticky stuff. And they're measured in another thing. And we are going to need to find our measuring cups with the fractions so we can measure out our butter, our marshmallows, and our Rice Krispies so we can make our pan. And I have a huge pan over here on this table, but you each have an individual small pan. And so what we're going to do is there's groups of 4 in each group, and each group has its pan. But I have a huge pan, and so what we're going to do is each group will have their own pan, and then you're going to bring it to me after you're finished, and we're going to place it into my big pan. And we're going to see how each one of your pans makes a fraction of my whole.
Okay.
All right. So let's go ahead and split into our groups. And if you don't have measuring cups or your measuring spoons, just raise your hand. I will bring them by. Like I said, you already have your butter. You have your marshmallows already on your table. And your Rice Krispies. So, and y'all can just act like you're measuring this.
Okay.
On that piece of paper you were given, which should look like this. Maybe your screen. So can y'all see my page? Yeah. So it should look like this. You have your recipe of fractions. And then you have a graph. So you need to list the items of your recipe. What are your items? Then you need to list the fraction of the recipe. And then on this last bar, you need to find the fractions that are equivalent to each other. And there should only be one, because this is just an introduction to y'all. I want y'all to actually measure it out and see how they are equal. So this is hands-on. You are actually getting to see how it is equal. And then you have 2 questions at the bottom. And I will walk around the room. I will give y'all a couple minutes to do this, and I will walk around the room to see if anybody needs help. Okay, now that y'all have finished your recipe and you have put it in your pan, and you've brought your pans to me, y'all just pretend like this is my huge pan. All right, we had 4 groups, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pans. And that way, if you say we take one group's pan out, you would have 5 sixes. And then if we take 2 pans out, you would have 4 sixes left. And so you can see how our little pans fit into our big pan, and it makes one whole. So each group had a fraction of a whole. All right, so now that you seen, did everybody see how your equivalent fractions are the same? Did you see how 2/4 is equivalent to 1/2 when you were measuring it out? For instance, we needed 2 of these 1/4 cups to equal 1/2 of the big cup. Did y'all see that when you were measuring? All right. Then, while you've seen all that, I'm going to go over some more equivalent fractions real quick, and then we are going to do a Kahoot. All right. So, if we have a candy bar, and we split it into 6 pieces. Oh, Lord. All right, we split it into 6 pieces. And I'm going to share a piece. I want a piece. I'm going to give Savannah a piece, and I'm going to give Katie a piece. This is 3 sixes. All right. So if you look at that, how many pieces did we cover? Can y'all see?
3.
3. Out of how many?
3.
Out of how many pieces?
6.
6?
6.
All right, and say we were going to draw a half. Okay. So, let me turn this sideways. All right, that's the same candy bar length, right? Similar? About the same as the top one?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to pretend it's the same length. And I'm going to split this directly in half. And Zamara, did I say your name right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, wants to have this whole piece for herself. So she wants half of her candy bar. Does she have the same amount as this candy bar? If they're the same length, and she splits hers directly in half, does she have the same as if we put all of ours together?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Because 3/4 equals 1/2. Because this is the same candy bar length, So if we directly just draw this line straight down, it's going to match up exactly. So we can see how 3/6 is equivalent to 1/2. All right, we are going to test our knowledge, and we're going to do an formative assessment through my Kahoot. So if you have your iPads, phones,
You only have 6 minutes left.
I know. We are going to do this Kahoot real quick. Come on. All right. Can y'all see my Kahoot?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, what's going on? All right.
Now, was there a game pin to enter?
It should show up on the screen.
There you go.
Okay. 2, 6.
All right. All right. What's it doing?
Do you want to pause your recording and have us actually do it? And
Yeah.
then that way you can just get your results.
Yeah. All right, hold on. I know what I'll do. Okay, now that we have done our Kahoot, I will be going around for guided practice, just to see how y'all are doing with the fraction fruit paper. And once you finish it, I want you to go ahead and start on your independent work. So you will work by yourself on your color the fraction, which is a worksheet where you are going to find the fraction that is equivalent to another fraction. You're going to color it the same color, and you're going, if you find another fraction that is, say you have 1/2, any fraction that is equivalent to 1/2, you need to color it the same color. If it's another fraction that's 1/4